So, I'm driving home in rush hour traffic. I'm going to try to be a little more concise here. Two things I want to talk about real quick. To do an addendum, or in addition to the communication with the athlete and the coach, especially those of you that I work with, a couple things that I've run into is, first and foremost, if you're paying a coach that does your programming as well, please, for the love of God, do it as it is written. Don't go making changes. I don't care how you feel. I felt a little out of sorts. I don't care. Well, my hips and my back were a little sore. If you're not injured, do what is written. When you guys freelance, you skew everything that is planned. And the thing is that unless we can have a consistent training cycle, 12 to 16 weeks, to do everything as you're told, there's no way to make real adjustments. Because there's going to be times throughout every training cycle. There will never be, I promise you, anybody that wants to take this bet, please contact me. I will give you 5-to-1 odds and bet any amount of money that you want to. You will never have a 16-week perfect training cycle where you get up every day, everything is perfect, your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, boss, whatever it is, it's not going to be a situation where everything aligns and everything is perfect for the entire training cycle. Not going to happen. Especially you girls, you have the monthly cycle. You want me to tell you it's wrong? All right, I'll tell you it's wrong. You want me to tell you it's not fair? Absolutely, it is unfair. But I'm going to ask you, what does it change? And it doesn't change shit. You still got to deal with it, no matter how wrong or how unfair it is. I don't make the rules. But the point is, if you change things, then you're going to skew the process of making real adjustments that are going to be beneficial. How do you know you will fail? Here's how you know that you failed to lift. You got under the fucking bar and you did it. If you didn't do that, then you skew it. And now we're not making any kind of change or adapting or an adjustment that is going to be meaningful. If you're powerlifting, and that's what I'm coaching most people for, in strength, whatever the case may be, I have some strongmen and Olympic lifters and stuff like that, but the point is, if we're not doing what is written, then we're deviating from the plan. And you can't be concise if you're constantly going rogue. It's not funny, it's not beneficial, it really doesn't help. And I realize you know you better than anybody else. But if you're basing something about how tight you feel, unless you fail or unless you're injured, do it. Now the other thing is, I see this over and over and over where people do these cuts for absolutely no reason. Or I've got a lifter, I won't mention it's a he, just arbitrarily decided he'd cut out all carbs, thinking I'll drop this weight really fast and everything will be fine. And then he starts his week out in a bench session, the opening set, which he should completely crush. He is missing the reps. He's missing reps. And it's like, well, this doesn't add up, And so he finally tells me, that he changed his food and, he needed to lose weight for the meet and all that. Doing those things are acceptable. Where it becomes an issue is if you don't communicate that with your coach. And, let's make sure. I don't always do food plans for people. That's not my forte. I've done it well, but, I coach and I do performance-based stuff and I program, and that's what I'm paid to do. And I'll make suggestions. I do a lot of things with natural supplementation. I know enough about drugs to get me in trouble. I know enough that I have chosen to stay away from them. There are things that I know, but that's not what I do. It's not my forte, and nor is it my cup of tea. So my point is, if you don't have a nutrition person, or you want some guidance, or you want to ask some questions, please do those things on the front end. When you deprive yourself of food, in this instance, there was like a 3 or 4 day period where there were only 1 or 2 meals taken in. Your training is immediately going to take a hit. And then I'm left guessing, well, I wonder, what is this person not telling me? And I end up lecturing the lifter, and nobody enjoys that, And I don't want to be the type of guy that goes, well, here's 8 weeks of programming, see ya, best of luck. That's not how I do it. That's not how I want to do it. And I certainly want to get paid for my time, but I want people to be successful. So you have to, it's the athlete's responsibility to keep that communication. And if I'm asking questions, to answer them, and to, if you're going to pay me or pay a coach to program for you, follow the plan. You do me or your coach and more yourself a disservice by not following the plan. We can always make adjustments. Follow the plan. And then if you're going to do something, like if you're, I have a scenario. I had the lifter have me call them on the phone. Perfectly fine. Having terrible back trouble. Now, when I met this particular lifter, she was working with another coach, and I was sent the workouts, and I gave my opinion that you don't have to hire me, but this type of coaching and programming for a lifter that was a beginner, in my opinion, was dangerous. And it was. She was basically doing high frequency training right out of the gate, and with no idea what kind of lifter she was. That's dangerous. So I gave my opinion and figured I'd never hear from this person again. And they decided to hire me. So we did some things just to address the back issues, and didn't come out of the gate very hard. Now, this is someone that's very athletic and so on. But the scenario is her back was bothering her again. So I said, well, let's do this, made some adjustments. It was a deadlift day. And like many of you, I have you doing trap bar pulls. And so when I talked to her on the phone, I said, let's pull back these numbers, and then we'll see how you feel. You're early in the cycle, so, we're looking at 70-75% on deadlift. Really shouldn't be a problem. So she started messaging me. Some of you I've been able to coach as you go. I'm at my desk, or I have my phone where I can watch the video. Front squat looks good. Trap bar looks good. She's done 25 pounds under her PR. Everything's looking good. Sends 2 or 3 deadlift videos. Form looks solid. And then I get a message, I'm hurting so bad I can barely stand up. And so I'm looking at the video. I review all the video again, and there is nothing form-wise that tells me that there's an issue. So I'm like, this doesn't add up. So usually when you look at an equation and the sum of that equation does not add up, something is missing. And in this case, the something that was missing was volume that she was not telling me about. So, because I asked her point blank, you did exactly what I said to do. You did this for front squat. You did this for trap bar. Yes. Well, once I just finally confronted her and said, you're not telling me all the truth. What else did you do? Well, turns out she felt so awesome that she decided to hit a bigger weight, and did. And then because she felt still so awesome, she decided to attempt a PR and retweaked her back. But wasn't going to tell me, was just going to tell me how bad she hurt. Then what she was doing is she had a squat rack and stuff at home. She's squatting 3 or 4 extra times a week, never telling me. So, I based the training and made the adjustments to lessen volume on the lower body stuff because her back was bothering her so much. and was eliminating some things in an effort to keep her in the gym and training as she was preparing for a meet. She wasn't telling the truth. So when, those scenarios, it puts the coach who was working for you. That's the thing that always frustrates me. We're working for you. And the way I become successful is if you are successful. And if you're doing things to undermine yourself, how can you expect me, if you're withholding information or just flat ass lying, how can you expect me or any other coach to help you? Now, that doesn't mean that we know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I am always learning, and I have a gym full of lifters, and especially my women lifters, that challenge me at every angle, whether it be my information, my opinion, or my patience. And if you can tell, my patience today has been pushed a little bit. So it's one of those things where it's like, I work really hard. The reason why I don't send programming like a block, a 4-week block, I know a lot of people that do that. I know people that type the whole cycle up and send it, and then they just answer questions on video. The reason why I do it by the week is so I have time to review the video, and if there is an issue, sometimes there is a tweak, sometimes things go better than we expect, or you're going to go on vacation, or you're deloading for a meet, or you got to go to a wedding and there's going to be a 2-day period where you can't train. All those things have to be accounted for, and when you have that plan, we're constantly making changes. So I like to be able to look at the week's training, make sure we're good, make sure we're where we need to be, and then address any adjustments that need to be made. And that way we don't get, I like the horse to stay in front of the cart. That seems to be the most effective way. Otherwise, we get things going in the wrong direction and we're pushing a rope. Ever tried to push a rope? Put one out in the gym and start pushing that rope, and talk to me about your progress. So the thing that I'm trying to instill here is trust your coach. You should trust yourself, but trust the coach enough, if you feel good about that coach, that you're not freelancing. You're not watching YouTube videos. I have teenagers. Coach, I can always tell because they change their mannerisms in the gym. Their chest bumping the bar and, all this weird breathing and erratic movement and slamming the bar into the rack. That's all hardcore. I get it, but understand, I'm not flying by the seat of my pants here. This is a method that has been developed for 20 years, and there's other coaches out there that have just as much time and energy invested in their programming and their approach to coaching. So don't freelance, do the programming, and then inform anything. I know more about a lot of my female lifters' monthly cycle than I care to, but it's part of it, and you have to make adjustments depending on the lifter. So keep that information flowing. The other thing I want to talk to, I tell you what, I'm going to do a different vlog because this has been long-winded enough. Listen to your coach. Trust your coach. Trust your strength. Trust your programming. Give it the adequate amount of time to make sure you've given it a fair shake before you start making changes. And most of you, I try really hard. I can't, like right now, it is rush hour traffic, and I can see videos on my phone. Now, most of you know what time I drive in rush hour traffic. So I'll have to watch these videos when I can, because I generally, on Thursday, I will get home 5:30, 5:40, and I will have people waiting on me. And that's great. That's what I'm striving for. So give me sometimes a little time. Now, if something's up, text me, call me. I don't know any of you that don't have my phone number, and go, hey, I'm having trouble. Can you look at that video? And I will do my best to respond. And so, again, keep those lines of communication open. Hold nothing back. and don't wait until the session is over to go, well, I wasn't feeling this, so I did this. No, no, no. There's no way to develop any training rhythm if you're constantly freelancing. So do yourself a favor, do your coach a favor, do it as written, and then make adjustments when it's the appropriate time. All right, that rant's done. I'll do another one here later about bar placement in the squat.